Hi, and welcome to Tree Doctors. My name is Susan Arndt, and I'll be your host this week. As you can see, we're in Monette, Arkansas today, and we're going to be chasing down Ed Dickey, the head tree doctor with Dickey Tree Service, as he travels into Monette and looks at some interesting trees and gives you some valuable tree tips. So stay tuned.
Daddy phoned to tell us that old tree might have to come down. The one I had the tree house in and chased my wife around. He said a neighbor showed him where it was busting at the trunk. And if the snow got heavy, it could crack down to the stump. We got to save our family tree. It's such a big part of our history. What a nostalgic sight to see. We got to save our family tree. Grandpa said they planted it when he was just 8 years old. His mama kept the clods broke up while his daddy dug the hole. I phoned up a friend of mine that lives in our hometown. He said he knew a tree doctor didn't like to cut trees down. The man went out and checked our tree and bolted it back together. He said it would last a lifetime, no matter what the weather. We got to save our family tree. It's such a big part of our history. What a nostalgic sight to see. We got to save our family tree. Yes, we got to save our family tree.
The tree doctors at Dickey Tree Service can inject a zap back in your tree's sap. Research has showed that ice-damaged trees are stressed, and stressed trees lead to insect and disease attacks. Micro Tree Injection is the answer for your trees. Micro Tree Injection is a closed system, delivering the exact dose of systemic chemical directly to the sap stream of the tree. Once the problem is identified, the tree doctors at Dickey Tree Service can inject vitamins, minerals, or insecticides directly into the sap stream of your trees. This bypasses the roots and provides immediate results. Micro Tree Injection has been university tested and field proven for over 35 years. After the tree doctors at Dickey Tree Service treat your trees, you receive a written 1-year guarantee. We won't treat a tree we don't think we can help. Let the tree doctors at Dickey Tree Service put the zap back in your tree's sap.
Welcome back to Tree Doctors. Right now we're going to go over to City Hall because the mayor is meeting with Ed Dickey of Dickey Tree Service to let him know about some of the problems they've been having with roosting birds. Ed Dickey has invented a device that addresses this problem, so let's go on over to City Hall and see what they have to say.
I'm here in Monette with the mayor, David Fletcher, and want to talk a little bit about your bird problems. Mayor, could you tell me a little bit about what's going on with your blackbirds?
Well, in the fall, we had more birds here than we could count. Obviously, there were millions and millions of birds, and the residents all over town were just really having trouble. I really wish you could help us figure out how to be better prepared for this next year, because I expect more problems with them.
Mayor, you'll remember in 2000, that's the first time we talked, wasn't it?
Yes, sir. I remember I called you, and understood you had some tapes, I believe, at that time. And you sent me, I believe, a sample, and we tried it, and we found it useful in the one place that we put it. And we also tried some other noise in the city, and that seemed to work in the places where we did have other noise in effect. But I found the CD and the tape could be useful if it was handled, if it was done properly, or if we could have used it with the right kind of equipment.
Yes, sir. In early 2005, the mayor ordered some of the CDs and the cassettes for the city here, and you've had them in operation a few weeks now. And what do you think of them now, Mayor?
Well, we were deep into dealing with the birds at that time, and it was very difficult to convince, I think, a lot of people to get involved. And as I think I said earlier, in the places where we used the CDs and we had the boom box, it obviously worked in the yards. It was pretty well limiting to the areas of, the direct areas where we had the speakers or the boom boxes, and used the tapes or the CDs.
Yes, sir. As we've talked before, it takes a group effort when you're dealing with this amount of birds once they get settled. Do you agree?
Well, I think from our experience, yes, absolutely. You would need people involved throughout the city or the town or the area where the problem is. If you have people in one area, they're going to be moving them to another location. And if you don't have people constantly working it until it gets dark, you don't have any luck.
Yes, sir. And the whole idea is to move the birds out of the area where they're roosting, of course. And since the mayor has started using the tapes and CDs, I showed him, if you look to my right here, a new type apparatus. It's got and he has informed me that he wants some for the town. It's got a PA system on it, and it allows you to not have to aim the cassette player or the CD deck up at the birds. These turn either way, and they're 50-watt PA speakers, so they're quite loud, and the device handles a cassette or a CD, either one. And by it being battery operated, it doesn't limit you to where you just have to have electricity to use it. So you can put it on the back of a pickup truck, and the mayor and I had talked about, in an area where you've got some working, you could have someone on a truck, and that would move them on further out of your town. And we'll be letting you know at a later date how that works. And I think it's going to work real fine. Don't you agree, Mayor?
I believe with using a few of these and getting involved and having one moving around the town and possibly getting other people to purchase a few of these, I believe that we would have quite a bit of success, because this probably would reach out, and the noise would probably help a lot more.
Yes, sir, and that's what it's all about. All this is, and I hadn't mentioned it before, is a high-fangle noise maker that's loaded with predator sounds, as well as sounds of distressed and hurt blackbirds and other birds, and mixed with other sound effects. So it's not offensive to the human ear, and it's just an ever-changing CD and cassette of these sounds, which moves the birds from one area to the next. The idea for this came about, and I think we talked about it back in 2000, Mayor, with this elderly lady was beating on a garbage can lid, and which worked fine. Of course, you get kind of tired of beating on them leads, but it's just a high-fangle noise device that keeps us from shooting in our trees and hurting our trees to get rid of the birds. I don't think y'all allow that shooting here anyway, do you, Mayor?
Absolutely not. We don't encourage anybody to do anything that's not legal, obviously. And of course, the damage to the trees, and of course with the gun shots going up, it's obviously got to come back down, and it's pretty dangerous. And of course, we don't want that to happen. We don't need our people hurt. I would like to simply say that, I believe that we could do better, and we would like to try, and with a concerted effort of everybody, and with your advice possibly on this next go-around, I'd look forward to giving it a try.
Yes, sir. And if you've seen our TV program, that you know our show is about old trees and unusual trees, and you've got a few old nice trees here in this town, don't you?
We do have a few, and you need to take a look at some of these trees, I think, when you have an opportunity.
I definitely will, and I'll get a list from you before I leave here, because right down the road here, between here and the state line, there's a beautiful old enormous oak tree that I had on one of the first programs that I did out by the Mackey Cemetery, I think.
Yes, sir.
Macy Cemetery, that's correct. You're right.
That's correct, yeah. Also here in town, I think you'll find a couple that would be comparable to that, and would be very proud to show you around.
Good deal. Well, thank you, Mayor, for taking a minute and talking to us about your birds in your town.
Thank you.
You know, Mayor Fletcher, if a person wants to normally in a community see their oldest, largest trees, it seems like they still exist around the cemeteries, and in the cases, that's the point here too in Monette. This is a large, beautiful low oak tree, and you have any idea how old this tree is?
I would give you a guess. I would hope that would probably go back maybe 80, 90 years. What would you think based on your experience of looking at trees?
I'd say you're pretty close, and it was probably left here for a reason, you know, when the cemetery was original, and we can see some markers that date back, you know, that old also. So it could actually have been here when the town was plotted. Who knows, you know, when they first set it up without taking a ring sample from it. But it is an old, enormous, great-looking tree, isn't it?
I agree with you, yes.
And we'll go out and we'll hunt up a few more of these old, beautiful trees here in Monette.
Okay.
Here's another tip what to watch for with leaves off your trees. Just kind of look at your trunk of your trees, and you can see here where this branch here, this portion of the tree is pushing against this other one. And you can see where the tree is putting response wood here where it's trying to crack. So common sense will tell you if you don't take this piece out of there, pretty soon in the near future, it's going to grow and push this section here on over. That'll fall on this house. And you can see where it's trying to break. So if you just kind of look at your trees with the leaves off, you get a better view of what's going on and take corrective measures, and you'll save your trees looking one-sided, and you'll get a few more years out of your trees. You'll be glad you did.
Stick around and we'll be right back with Tree Doctors.
It's not hard to see what's wrong with these trees. They're being treated systemically with soil injection. We're putting down a systemic insecticide, the vitamins and the minerals and the nutrients that the tree needs to continue the cycle of growth that it needs. The winter time when you would think that the tree has stopped growing, that's just an old wives' tale. Your trees is putting on new feeder roots during the dormant season, and that's the time to put the chemical down to take care of these insects. So you'll see a great tree in the spring. You don't have to wait for your tree to be going downhill before you call us. Keep that in mind when you look at your trees. If you had a problem tree during the past year, you might want to correct that. That's what we do. We're the tree doctors. This is our 36th back in here. Hello, I'm Ed Dickey, the tree doctor at Dickey Tree Service. I'm coming to you from inside of a tree. We've been getting inside of trees for 35 years. We get to the root of the problem. Give us a call. We know how to save your trees. We put the chemical where it needs to be inside your tree, taking care of insect and disease problems. We're often imitated, but never duplicated. We've been doing this 35 years. We know what we're doing. Give us a call. We're the tree doctors, Dickey Tree Service.
Let's go take a look at those Roost Buster PAs that Ed Dickey is delivering to the mayor.
I'm here with Mayor Monette making the first presentation of our Roost Busters, and the city here has bought 4. And Mayor Fletcher, tell us about what made you buy these.
Well, you know, as a result of the major disaster we had recently with the birds, the city was just flooded for a few weeks before it really turned cold. And we searched around, and I remembered in 2000, I believe, I contacted you and I asked you if you could send me a sample of your CD, and you sent that sample. And I remembered that, so I wanted to see if you'd send me another sample because I lost that sample. And of course, we made contact and we did buy some CDs and spread them around and had some success with that. With those people that got them, they really did like it. But we really need a lot of education. If this happens to us again, we need to do a lot to help the community.
Yes, sir. And since that time, I might add, I've come up with this roost buster. It's got the speakers on it that's directional. They shoot straight up in the air, and easier played. They're actually 3 times louder than a normal CD player or cassette player. And that's what the city will be having combating the birds. And we'll check back here not too long from now. We'll just see what kind of luck he adds with them. And I think you know from the sound of it that they're going to do quite well, don't you, Mayor?
I think they will. You know, we've used the boombox system before, but the directional thing I believe will be a lot better because it will be more directional. You won't be turning it upside down and losing your CDs. I think it could be really useful.
Yes, sir. And we're going to go out in the town and look at some big trees you got too now, and we'll just go out there. We're here in Monette at the home of Skip Lane. He's the area operations manager for CenturyTel. And it's been how many years now since we treated these oaks you got, Skip?
Oh, I think we treated them the first time about 3 years ago, 3 or 4 years ago.
Yes, sir. And we got one that's standing behind. We're still having a little problem out of, aren't we?
Yeah, it still has some leaf curl after it puts on a new leaf, and I think we've treated it and it's helped it some, but we still got a little bit to do.
Right. This is like right here. This is repeated being stung by that gall wasp. That once the tree's vigor goes down and the wasps start attacking it, the wasps do not eat the tree. It stings the tree and lays its eggs and injects a growth inhibitor, and it grows around it. So the only time the wasp eats the tree is when they drill the hole to come out. And of course, the poison that we put in kills them then. So you have to eventually make the population decline. And his tree's not near as bad as some around, but you can get an idea of it's just bad on your lawnmower and everything, isn't it, Skip?
Yeah, it is, and it's you can actually tell that the foliage is not as full as it used to be before the tree was infected with these. You can kind of see light through it now, and used to it just completely blocked out the sun when you were on the shady side of it. So it's affected it some.
Definitely, and this pulls the tree down, worse than a vine on it or anything else. This actually taps the nourishment. And you was just telling me you've got, what have you got planned for this weekend?
This is my weekend I had set aside to do the fertilizing out under the drip line like I've done the last 3 or 4 years, and I think that's really helped. Plus I've got irrigation set up here where I can water this tree right out of a well, and I water it about twice a week, during the summer, especially when it's really dry.
Right, just kind of pulling it back up. Now, our other 3 oaks in the front of your house, we hadn't had any problem with, and we're going to go around there and we'll talk about them.
Okay.
Oh, we're around here in the front yard with these 3 oaks in the front, and tell me a little bit about what was going on here, Skip.
Well, this tree, when it was young, evidently had been damaged by a lawnmower or something, scarred the bark, and it really got in bad shape. And my dad came over, and he's kind of our family tree doctor, and he worked on that and helped me get it in the right direction as far as healing, and it seems like it's doing really well.
That's right. Yeah, that's the title of our show, Tree Doctors, and you can see how much new growth this has put on there since he's chipped this away and got the cambium heading back over the wounded area, and that's compartmentalizing very well. Also, you had mentioned as we was walking from the backyard, tell me what you know about that tree. How did that tree get there, the one we just left?
Well, we moved to this house in 1979, and at that spring of I guess it would have been the spring of 1980, I went out to the river and found some seedling oak trees, and I pulled that tree up along with this one right over here, and we set them out in that spring, and they really just took off. I mean, of course, that's been a lot longer than what you think now. It's 26 years or so, or 25 years, but they really made pretty trees for us.
Oh, they have, and that shows our viewers in 20, 25 years how big a tree you can actually get if you give it the extra care. And Skip does that. He feeds his trees. And I want to talk a little bit about the line of business you're in, too, with the Century Tale. What advice would you give the viewers that all of these phone books on the Yellow Page books now in these towns, there's so many of them. What would you tell a business owner to go for as far as putting ads in? You think all ads need to go in all the phone books, or what would you suggest?
Well, we naturally think that Century Tale's phone book is the most widely distributed. It makes it in the mail to every one of our customers, and we have several different locations where you can pick up extra phone books, and we appreciate folks like Dickey Tree Service that patronize our Yellow Pages, and we think that's the best avenue to get your product out in front of our customers, which basically we serve a wide area in North Arkansas and all across the state.
Right, and so if you're go with a leader in that area, you're saying too, aren't you?
Absolutely. We know that phone book's going to make it to every person that has dial tone in our serving area will have a copy of that phone directory.
That's great. I know a lot of the viewers would wonder about that because some towns have 5 different phone books, and give me a break. How many you're going to look in? Also, back to your trees. When the leaves get on these, I'm going to stop back by and we're going to see what type of difference. I give you some special instructions on feeding on this one in back, and we're going to keep our viewers up to date on that gall problem and see if we can correct that.
Okay, we'll be working on that this summer.
And tell your dad that I admire his work on his tree doctor in here on this tree. And what's his name?
His name's Lucian Lane. Everybody calls him Jigs, and he's quite a guy.
Well, he does good work. All right, thank you, Skip.
Thank you, Ed.
We're at the time of the year when the leaves are gone and it's time to do a little bit of maintenance. And you catch a pretty day and the ground not wet, come out and trim your low limbs, cut your dead pieces out, and make your trees a little healthier. And like right here, this has went on and it's starting to be a problem. These trees have been allowed to grow up in this fence, and it's actually growing through the fence here, and it's already killed this section of the tree. Those could be cut off up here at the top, and next year time they rot it out, you still keep them hurting the fence. Cut off all these new sucker growth, or what we call water sprouts, on the base of these. That lets you mow your yard when it comes mowing time. Raise your limbs up a little bit, stopping at the branch collar when you cut it off. Don't leave a stub like that. And get them so when the leaves do get on them, you don't have as much follow-up maintenance to do. You'll be glad you did, and it's pretty easy done. You catch a pretty day. I think you'll enjoy doing it, and I know your trees will. I'm here in Monette at the home of Royal Fletcher, and right here on Highway 18. And Royal, tell me a little something about this great big old ginkgo tree.
Well, what I know about this ginkgo tree is it must be over 50 years old, and an old aunt planted this tree here, and you want to talk about birds, I'm sure. And I had the birds, plenty of birds. And they stayed even a long time after the leaves fell. Of course, the leaves don't fall till after the frost or the hard freeze.
Right.
And I had birds a long time after that. And they probably left mid-December, I imagine.
Right.
I'm glad they left and went to Leachville.
Well, it's a migration route, and they actually move from one town over to another one, and the people think they caused them to leave, and that's their migration trail that they go on if you don't cause them to leave. The reason why I knew you had a problem, I could actually smell from the droppings here on the ground.
They did. They left a lot of droppings, and I've been wondering, well, fact is I run the lawnmower over them, and I thought maybe that'd scatter them a little bit, and it did. Because I thought maybe there might be a few leaves still under it. Because these leaves don't rot too easily.
Right. It's best to actually lime it if instead of stirring it up to get them spores active when you've had a lot of droppings like this. But you've got a double problem because you have a magnolia tree here too, don't you?
I do. Mm-hmm.
And that's a good roosting spot. But the city now has bought some noisemakers, the roost buster PAs that the citizens here in town can get rid of these birds. So hopefully you're not going to have that problem in the future.
Well, I certainly hope not. I hope they don't come back in the spring.
Well, they're ready for them if they do, because they got 4 of the machines to do that. But I wanted to talk to you, and I couldn't help but this is you don't see ginkgos in this part of the country this big. There's a few over around Cruttersville, Missouri, but this is the biggest one I've seen around here.
Well, it's a beautiful tree, and it's a lot of shade in the summertime. It's beautiful.
Yes, sir, and it lose their leaves just about all in one day.
They leave in one day, and then you wonder what to do with them. And I chop them a few times with the lawnmower, and I don't have to do much hauling off.
Right, and they're a pretty well disease and insect-free tree. So if people want to check out a ginkgo tree, they're
They can certainly come look at this one, can't they? Well, we have students coming by getting leaves all the time from school, and I guess they're study at school every year. They come by and get some of these leaves.
Right, yeah, it originally come from China, so it's got an old history. And I appreciate you taking a few minutes talking about your tree.
Thank you very much, there. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir. I'm here at home David Lane, and he's here with me. And David, here in Monette, you was one of the recent people that used the CD or the tape on the Roost Buster, wasn't you?
Well, I used both. I used the CD behind the house for those big oak trees back there. Then they had quite a few leaves on them, and we had more blackbirds than I've ever seen in my life this year. I used the CD back there on my boom box. I put the speakers in my bedroom window and raised the window, and I guess you could hear the thing for half a block to a block. I was pretty well covering a quarter block with it. I put your tape in this pickup truck, and that took care of these two Bradford pear trees here.
What'd you do, roll the windows down or open the doors?
Both doors wide open. And it takes it a little while, you know, to start working on them, but it makes them very nervous.
Oh, sure.
They'll leave. They just leave and no one come back.
What that is, that's all those different sounds. You just asked me what all the sounds was on there, over 250. But what we found in our research is a bird will get used to any sound. I don't care if it's a LP cannon or whatever. So if them sounds aren't constantly changing, them birds are going to roost there, aren't they?
Well, I tell you what, they're constantly changing. Yeah. And it's not real irritable though. And the music in the background helps.
It sure does.
I kind of enjoyed listening to it.
Well, good deal. Well, you know, recently we come out with a Roost Buster PA, which got them PAs on each end, which City of Monette has purchased some, and they're going to start using. So next time if you have a bird problem, you won't have to worry about putting your expensive deck out the window. You have something you can go up there and get at City Hall.
Well, wasn't any problem. I just raised the window and set them on the windowsill, you know, with the speakers outward,
right,
and raised the window, glass storm window.
Well, that's thinking.
And it was no problem at all.
Well, good deal. But you liked the results you got from it?
Oh, golly, yes. I was amazed.
Yes, sir.
I told people that, you know, this will work. And if we get enough of them, we can keep these birds out of town.
Thank you for watching Tree Doctors. If you have any questions, you can always go to the World Wide Web at www.dickeytrees.com or give Ed Dickey a call at the number below, and they'll be sure to answer any questions you might have. Again, thank you for watching Tree Doctors.
Daddy phoned to tell us that old tree might have to come down. The one I had the tree house in and chased my wife around. He said a neighbor